Hey Reddit, what is the best instance of someone underestimating you? There was a great internship posted on my law school job board. I applied, did all the right steps, etc. Didn't even get an interview. 6 months later a similar offer is posted. I apply again. This time someone from my school's career office calls and says, "We can't send someone with your credentials to that prestigious employer, because this is a really important relationship for the school." Apply on my own. Get interview. Get position. School finds out I got internship, wants to set up meeting to make sure expectations are set correctly. Politely tell them to pound sand. Now have full-time job with company. Playing Trivial Pursuit at Christmas with my ex-girlfriend's family, most of them and their partners are teachers, with a couple of college professors thrown in. They look down on me as I work in a manual labor job. I won, then drank all the Baileys. I'd been working as a data entry clerk at night in a medical practice. The business manager found out that I knew bookkeeping. She assigned me to balance the checkbooks. None had been balanced since she first started there. I thought the doctors were fools, but I balanced them and gave them back to her. Then she threatened to fire me if I ever mentioned to anyone how long the books had not been balanced. Wrongo. I was a temp, and at the best of times I didn't care if I left a job or not. I spent the rest of my shift typing up a complete report on everything that I knew was wrong in the practice, from handling patients' appointments to posting payments. I think it was over 5 pages. I made copies of my report and dropped them in the doctor's mailboxes at the hospitals that they covered. That way she would not know that I had stuck a knife in her. I offered the doctors 3 options. I disappear and they forget the whole thing. I hire them a business manager on commission and leave, or I took over and would straighten the place out, and when it ran right, I would leave. I'd given them my name and number. Then I went home and started sorting what stayed and what went with me. I didn't even bother to call in the next shift or the one after that. Then I got a call from the head of the practice asking for a meeting. I met with all 5 to 7 doctors. I offered to stick around until they could hire a real business manager. The next day, I was the manager and she was unemployed. No one threatens me. I hated the job, but I did it just out of sheer spite. I was at a conference when I was about 24 to 25. As I was waiting near the front of the room, I was approached by a guy I had never met, who said something like, "Son, let me give you some free advice. You want to be successful in this industry, pay attention to the next presenter." I was the next presenter. Edit, there is a classy/thoughtful way to do this, and a douchey/condescending way to do it. I promise this guy was not trying to be helpful. He was trying to be an awesome industry insider who could talk down to other people. I was considered the dumb one out of my group of friends at school. I'm the only one who obtained a college education, moved away from our hometown, got a decent job, and didn't get anyone pregnant. Go me. My dad used to tell me all the time not to bother with higher learning, because I would just waste my money by failing everything. Graduated with honors. Dad still tells everyone how much of a loser I am though. Go get a job earning more money than him. Be sure to buy him a fancy watch with your yearly salary engraved on it, with a note apologizing that you are such a loser. I was at a new high school. My English teacher gave the class a take-home PS84 practice. I handed it in and got a 1450 out of 1600. She accused me of cheating and or lying. Eventually we left it at, well, let's see how he does on the real test. 1510 out of 1600, highest in the school. Duck that sh. Still feels good 25 years later. I am blonde with blue eyes, 6 feet tall, and live in the US. I speak fluent Japanese and work in the automotive industry. It is strategic to send me to meetings with Japanese executives, and at some point during the meeting, I invariably begin speaking Japanese. Immediately everyone loses their shit. The company my dad works at does a lot of dealings with Japanese manufacturers for parts. Whenever they do, they often request to work with my dad over anyone else in the company. The higher-ups don't understand it, but they've pretty much appointed him their go-to guy for Japanese contracts. The reason? According to my dad, almost everyone above him are wealthy bigwigs from Rochester, New York. They speak loudly, interrupt each other constantly, and are used to getting what they want. Whenever they are dealing with the Japanese, then they treat them like they're idiots because they can't keep up, usually because they speak little English or are working through an interpreter. My dad, meanwhile, was raised in the South, is good at listening, and used to work with both the Japanese and the Scandinavians at his last job. So he treats the Japanese with the utmost respect, including showing proper deference to people with higher rank in their company than his, and understands that a language barrier is hardly any sign of lack of intelligence. He says he can just see it in the eyes of the Japanese businessmen he works with, when listens as they try to explain something for the first time, nods, and replies to them with, "Name-san." Like they are thinking, oh god, finally, someone we can deal with. I got engaged at 17, married 3 weeks after I turned 18. The entire family went apeshit. My father told me I'd be living in a shithole, never leave my little hometown, never make anything of myself, never go to college. My grandmother poked my now husband in the chest and told us to our faces that our marriage wouldn't last 6 months. I did go to college, got an associate's degree, got out of that hometown, bought a house, got a bachelor's degree while working full-time, sold that house, built a bigger house, and we've been happily married for 13 years now, longer than my parents' marriage lasted. And every single time we celebrate another anniversary, it is the greatest duck you to my entire family inside my head. Never tell a girl they can't do something. This always makes me smile. When I was in high school, just about to graduate, we all had to go see the careers advisor at school. For a little backstory, it's important to know that I am physically disabled, but not mentally impaired in any way. Anyway, when I went to see her, she told me that perhaps I shouldn't aim for university, as it was going to be a challenge with my educational deficits. I asked her what she meant, and she said, well, your disability of course. I very politely explained that my disability has no impact on mental cognition at all, and she said, I don't think you're right. I think you need to consider the fact you'll never work or live a normal life. These days, I'm at university studying to be a social worker. Yes, I know it's not something incredibly academic, but I made it to university. Duck that ignorant career advisor. OMG, there was a kid at my high school in a wheelchair who was nonverbal, so I would always baby talk him. Not in a bishy way, but I'd say, how's Jordan today? With an upswing in my voice on the Jordan part. Anyway, he ended up getting one of those Stephen Hawking communicator things, and proceeded to blow us out of the water with all of his adult thoughts and astute observations. Made me feel like an idiot when I realized how many times I treated him like he was mentally retarded, just because he didn't speak. This woman asked me if I was strong enough to put some box on the shelf. So I picked her up so she could put the damn box up there herself. Fixed a pluralization. My girlfriend's dad was helping me tune up my truck. He's a real domineering type of guy and likes to be bossy, so I was just letting him educate me on vehicle maintenance. Towards the end I was sitting in the truck while he plugged the wires back up. He wanted me to turn it over, and nothing. He tried again, and I turned the key, nothing. At this point I hopped out, and without a word, plugged the wires correctly into the cap, and started my truck, no problem. To this day, I am the only one he doesn't try to educate and boss around. TLDR, Google is a great friend. In high school I hated gym. I almost failed and didn't graduate because of it. I was a dancer, a serious ballet student. I was in the studio 5 days a week, and worked out at home 4 days per week. In my junior year, 1989, I had to take the stupid presidential fitness exam. Fine. I did the stupid thing. The PE teacher said if I could at least not come in last, she would pass me. I wasn't a great runner, I knew that. However, I came in above almost every single student in my class for leg presses, aerobic tests, sit-ups, and overall fitness. 2 guys beat me, and I was the top female. The coach insisted I cheated. I had to do the test over. The very next day after school, it was just us. I beat all my own scores out of sheer age. When it was over, I tried to again explain that just because I saw no merit in dodgeball, didn't mean I wasn't fit. I could do shit with body all those jocks couldn't dream of. I still hold the record for most sit-ups in a minute and leg presses for women. Duck jocks. I've had an ex-girlfriend, teacher, employer, and parent tell me my musical career would go nowhere, and that heavy metal is stupid. This year I got signed to Nuclear Blast, one of the most reputable metal labels in the world, and I played Wacken Open Air, the biggest heavy metal festival in the world. They're still working their shitty 9 to 5, while I tour the world doing what I love. I did a stay one night at a college thing, and we started playing Guitar Hero, where everyone was strangers. The self-diagnosed GH obsessed guy in the college failed the song and passed the guitar to me, the quiet girl. During the intro he said, "Sorry, it's still on expert." Then I proceed to kill it. Heh. They said it was because I was Asian. I tend to agree. I am currently looking for jobs in the craft beer industry in Bay Area. People in the industry never treat me seriously, as I am a 5'6" beardless Asian that only needs to shave once every 2 weeks. According to them, only hip guys with long beard and tattoos can be beer experts, and I obviously look like a 18-year-old high schooler that has absolutely no beer knowledge at all. I've read most of the brewing science textbooks, heck, I even bought college microbiology and chemistry textbooks to read on my spare time to educate myself. Passed tasting and other qualification exams, and doing an internship in a brewery to get experiences just to let the white folks know that hey, Henry Spam right here really knows his stuff. Maybe next time when you hire a sale rep, consider the beardless Asian Henry Spam. Some background first. I worked at my family's restaurant, and to avoid special treatment I would go by a different last name so nobody would know that I'm the owner's son. So fast forward about a year, and we hire a guy named who I'll call Colin, because that's his name. Colin was a major douchebag who would try to unload his responsibilities on me, and one day I just tell him that I'm not doing his job. So what does he do? He puts me into a sleeper hold, and only lets go a second before the lights go out. As soon as he let go, I told him I was the owner's son, and that he shouldn't bother coming into work tomorrow. He came to work the next day, and we locked him out. He was fired. I'm pretty laid back, wear business casual clothes to work, that is nice dresses, flat shoes, but no suits, perhaps heels now and then. I introduced myself to a new employee in a department that works right next to mine. I realize his attitude is a bit condescending as we talk a bit, and as I start to walk away he asks, "Are you one of the work study students?" I smiled and realized he thought I was a student worker, and that explained his attitude. I just laughed and said, "No, I'm Dr. Damsel, but it's great that you think I look young enough to be an undergrad." I am 65 female and Reddit underestimates me all the time. Apparently if you are my age and female, you only play games like Candy Crush, never Skyrim or Diablo, or Civilization or Portal etc. Also I must not know anything about computers or technology. People are shocked, and I suspect a little suspicious when I address those topics. I hope I've changed 1 or 2 minds about the possibility that old people are not all the same, just as young people aren't all the same. My girlfriend used to call her uncle or other relatives to hang up lamps and do other related stuff, like drilling holes etc. in our place. She did so because she thought I had no idea how to do that. One day I told her, now I have to do all that. I should have kept it safe and secret. I've always carried a few extra pounds, and I took a lot of shit from people, in particular in baseball. What people don't know is that I'm actually quite talented, and faster than most people half my size. One time, some kid from the other team told me fat kids couldn't play baseball before the game, and I proceeded to hit 3 triples and an inside the park home run that game. I actually would back up when a chubby kid was at the plate, usually they are the power hitters. At the beginning of my senior year, my guidance counselor told that there was no way I would graduate, wouldn't go to college, and would never make much of myself. I should just drop out and try for a job and a GED. I graduated on time, have a college degree, and now I work at the White House. Suck it. Thanks Obama. On holiday in Croatia, a drunk local accused me of staring at his girlfriend, which I totally was, and thought he'd be a tough guy. He threw a punch, I blocked it and hit him in the side of the head, and he went all wobbly and fell into a hedge. Within 15 seconds I'd run off and disappeared into a crowd. I'm pretty skinny, but I was studying Krav Maga at the time, and the whole thing happened before I really registered what was going on. I ran off because Croatia seems the sort of place where the police are going to trust the drunk local over the sober tourist. I hope the guy was okay. People have been underestimating me all my life. My parents were both in the beauty business. I worked with them, helping them to run the largest beauty school in Oklahoma for 19 years. Since I was a man in the beauty business, everybody thought I was gay. I was a Marine from 1966 to 1972. This was when the Vietnam War was going full blast. The war was very unpopular. Since I was a Marine, everybody thought I was a soulless baby killer. I was a professional musician for many years. Of course everybody knows musicians are a bunch of drunks and dope addicts. In truth, I am not gay, I am not a drunk or a dope addict, and I have never killed babies or innocent civilians. The point is that nobody knows enough about you to make judgments about you, except yourself. All your life, people are going to assume they know enough about you to make judgments. They are wrong. However, that won't stop them from doing it.